While It Won't Be Long is a happy, fast-paced song, it's kind of got a sad history to it. The whole story of the song revolved around John waiting for his one girl to come back to him, and then all of his problems would be solved. He wouldn't feel lonely anymore, and he would finally have somebody that he could just talk to. John lived a very lonely life as a small kid. He lost his mom to a car accident, and he had to be raised by her sister for his whole life. And while she was a good parent, she never really had any great connections with him. He didn't have very many friends because he just felt so isolated and he didn't know how to control himself. He thought everybody was living happy, carefree lives while he was just stuck in his own little shell. This song was kind of how he conveyed this feeling to his listeners. He believed if he could just find that one girl, and that one girl could always be with him, that he would be okay, that he could finally just have somebody that would be his, they could be together. He really felt rejected by the world, and he wanted to put in a song to get out his feelings. What's interesting about this song is that it was the first Beatles song to include double tracking. Please Please Me, the Beatles' first album, was recorded in only one day, believe it or not, while With the Beatles was recorded over the span of about 3 months. Within that time, John Lennon discovered double tracking, and he would never let his producer, George Martin, ever let them only take one take again. It's premium early Beatles at its best, and it's a classic song. We got 2 Moody John songs in one today. I didn't even plan that. And Your Bird Can Sing was written entirely because John was jealous of Paul. At the time it was recorded, John wanted to make a song that was for people who didn't really understand John. People like Paul McCartney. John kind of wanted Paul's life in a way. He wanted to be more charismatic, he wanted to have a better family, he wanted to be better with people in general. When John wrote this, he included experiences that happened to Paul or things that he would say every now and then that just kind of really annoyed him. But apparently Paul never picked up on it because he really enjoyed recording this song and all of the backup vocals for it. Revolver is one of the Beatles' best albums, by far, but this song kind of falls low a little for me. There's nothing all too special about it other than some of the lyrics and some of the guitar work being really excellent. There's a few other songs on Revolver that won't be on this list for a good reason because they're not good songs. This is close to being one of those, but it's just a little better than some of the other ones. In some ways, some of the sections of the song sound kind of grungy 30 years before grunge ever became a thing. There's a few other Beatles songs that kind of do stuff like that, or have very mature themes that never really came back until decades later. That's what's so interesting about the Beatles, is that some of their innovation changed music forever in ways that nobody ever saw coming. Another Revolver song, for example, I Want to Tell You, has an incredible opening that you wouldn't usually hear in the 60s, and you would expect to more hear in the late 70s or early 80s. Their innovation is so interesting, and that's why they're one of my favorite bands. I can't really recommend them enough. So, don't start with this album, like I said in my last video, start with Rubber Soul or Abbey Road, but if you haven't listened to the Beatles, you need to listen to them, because they're really good. And that is where I'm gonna end this video. So yeah, there's my thoughts. It's gonna be hard to come up with a different outro for 50 more episodes of this.